Friends, today I would like to talk to you about partition, Gandhi, and the masses. It's important not from the perspective of reopening the old wounds of partition when nearly a million people died and about 10 million were forced to cross the borders to relocate themselves, but largely because at the moment large sections of Indian society as well as NRIs settled abroad have misconceptions that are feeding into hatred and prejudice. And I want that people should be liberated from these ills. Well, I would like to talk to you the following points. The distinction between ruling authority and the masses, sectarianism as a counterdote to freedom movement, 1946-47 violence, the Bengal famine of 1943 that killed 2 million people or more than 2 million people, and which I believe played an important role in partition of the country. And then I'd like to talk to you about the division of power, which the partition was, rather than division of people. Well, before I discuss these issues, I would like to mention a few fundamental things. Number one, that there has been an age-old division, thousands of years of division between the ruler and the ruled. So for the follies of the rulers, one should never target the masses, the ruled. Second, all major divisions and discriminations are perpetuated by the consent or connivance of the state. This is very important. The ruling class has a tendency not only to economically exploit, but also to socially segregate and discriminate. Then about Gandhi, two things are important. Number one, Gandhi was primarily a fighter against imperialism or the tendency to keep people oppressed. And the people who are oppressed, Gandhi saw a power in those people that they can resist their oppression by themselves on their own strength. And one thing more, that imperialism has not only divided India, it has divided many countries, including Korea, where a war erupted in 1950, killing 5 million people. Vietnam was also divided into North and South Vietnam, and 3 million people were killed. Congo, it was not divided as a country, but then ethnic violence was instigated, and that led to killings of about 3.5 million people. So imperialism divides. So never blame people for the follies of imperialism. And as far as the ruling power of the country is concerned, during British rule, it was not only British who ruled India. They certainly were the supreme power in the country, but they created a network of administrators, landlords, princes that were ruthless to people for economic exploitation as well as for subjugating their freedom and dignity. So it was not only a foreign rulers, but Indian rulers included. And the British, after losing or rather suffering setbacks in 1857 revolt, in which Indian masses, Hindus and Muslims together, stood like a rock and fought against the British. But after British recovered, and then 1858 onwards, they purposely followed the policy of divide and rule. Their historians distorted history to create a wedge between communities. And initially they were more repressive against Muslims, and later on they were giving some, Muslims were given some favors, essentially to antagonize Hindus and thus to create a wedge. In 1905, Bengal was partitioned, essentially to bring Hindu-Muslim question as a main political question in the country. In 1909, when the legislative councils were created, separate electorate for Muslims were created, and then later on for Sikhs, essentially meant to divide Indian people in the ruling hierarchy. Well, one must always remember that during this entire period, Indian masses had no voting rights. Only top 1 or 2% people, very rich, educated, subservient to the British, they were had the voting rights for these legislative councils and assemblies. And hence, any decision taken on top should not be construed as a sanction by the masses. And also, these councils had not only the elected members from this elite classes, but they also had a very large number of nominated members by the British. Well, in 1915, when Gandhi returned from abroad, from South Africa, and launched Indian freedom struggle, inviting masses into the movement, then in few years, when the movement reached the different parts of the country, the masses started participating in it, the farmers, the workers, the tribals, the depressed classes. Then the ruling classes got alarmed and they created sectarianism as a counterdote. So 1920 onwards, especially in the middle of third decade of 19th century, 1925, around that time, they regrouped these sectarian elements, regrouped and formed organizations like RSS. Even Muslim League and Hindu Mahasabha, that were older organizations, they became more sectarian and separatist afterwards. And that led to sporadic violence. Gandhi tried to cool down violence, but that gradually created a mistrust between communities. Well, so primarily the entire sectarianism was directed against sabotaging the freedom movement, and they had full patronage of the British. And to the extent that in 1942, when Gandhi launched the Quit India movement for freedom, at that time, the Muslim League and Hindu Mahasabha, the two fanatic organizations, they formed a coalition government in Bengal. So they were not as much against each other as they were against the freedom movement. In 1946-47 violence, one must recognize that it was not a violence between Hindu masses and the Muslim masses. It was perpetrated by the goons and armies of landlords, kings, and never by the masses. Even then, Gandhi was able to convince Chief Minister of Bengal, who was the Muslim League Chief Minister of Bengal, Sohrawardi, that you have a responsibility towards, as a state executive, towards the people of all communities. And in subsequent months, when the entire country was engulfed in violence, Bengal remained relatively peaceful. So Gandhi could influence some sectarian minds as well. And one thing always one must remember, that during the partition violence, Hindus, Sikhs and Muslims, all communities suffered. I will give you one example. In Punjab, 180,000 people were killed. 120,000 were killed in Indian Punjab or East Punjab, which is now Indian Punjab, and these were largely Muslims. and 60,000 people were killed in Western Punjab, which is now Pakistani Punjab, and which were largely Hindus and Sikhs. So everybody suffered. And so Muslims, normally in Indian circles, people try to blame Muslims as killers, and in Pakistan, Muslims try to blame Hindus as killers, but I think they must recognize that both suffered heavily. And one thing more, that partition of the country was preceded by the partition of Punjab and Bengal, demanded by the nationalist parties, which was very unfortunate, because there was a pressure from the elite in Punjab, because when violence started in Punjab, then they demanded that, okay, the partition it. And the partition did not come from Muslim League. Partition of Punjab came from Congress and Sikh parties and Hindu parties. And similarly in Bengal as well. So it was essentially a demand by the affluent sections of society to partition these states. And I would like to mention the famine of 1943 that killed 2 million people. In that famine, the prices of rice went up 10 times within a period of 6 months, though the production of food grains was less only by a few percent. But the traders increased this and they became very rich in a very short period, whereas a lot of people were killed, and majority because among the poor sections, majority was Muslims, and hence they suffered more heavily than Hindu masses. And as a result, the goons in 1946-47 violence tried to instigate communal peasants, citing this example. So I consider Bengal famine to play a role in partition. Nevertheless, I would like to mention that the entire struggle of Gandhi was that let it be a division of state. There may be 2 authorities, ruling authorities, doesn't matter. But the passes must never be treated separately. Everybody who lives in India or in Pakistan has a full right to live in his place of birth and place of upbringing with full dignity and freedom. This was the primary thing for which Gandhi sacrificed his life. And this was the basic difference between sectarianism, imperialism on one side, and Gandhi and freedom movement on the other side. And this is the message for the world, that you have to work together to preserve the unity of the people and make a state subservient to the masses rather than a ruler. I am very pleased that I have this opportunity to talk to you. Thank you.